I'd like to welcome all of you to our Team Green event. And today's topic is Every Day is Earth Day. We have wonderful, fully formed and engaged conservation and environment committees all over Front Porch. And we also have communities who are looking, let's just see, that are looking to begin their work in environment committees. So if your community does not have a committee like this and you're looking to do so, then we have probably everything you need to get started. So I hope that you'll get in touch with me and see what we can do. Okay, that's a note to our executive directors. So, like I said, today's topic is Every Day is Earth Day, and we're talking about some really special things that are going on at our communities. I'm going to start by talking to Nancy. Nancy actually inspired today's topic, which is Every Day is Earth Day. And you live at Canterbury Woods, which is known for its culture of conservation and care for the environment. And you personally embody that and and you've worked to build a culture of environmental awareness and eco-friendliness. And now you're forming a resident and staff collaboration, a resident and employee environment committee. So can you please share some ways that you invite residents and staff into this culture, and also share some goals and objectives that you have for this new birthing committee? It's just new, hasn't started, hasn't met yet, but I know you have some ideas. So Nancy, please take it away.
Thank you, and welcome from Canterbury Woods. You know, it's hard to live at Canterbury and not think about the environment. One of the things that attracted me was that we're living in a park, and I can actually, if I stretch just right, see the ocean down there. So how can you not think about the environment? And it's just part of your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved here, we were actually a certified green business. And only because we didn't renew the paperwork, we are no longer a certified green business, but we still operate the same way. And what it means is it is really just every day, everything you do, it's in the background and you think about things. And though we've been doing a lot of things, forming this new committee gives us a chance to go back and look and see what can we do better. There's some challenges that always take place. Being in an outdoor environment, it limits some of the things we can do because Mother Nature is with us all the time. And one of the things we have to look at is how can we do with our resident food waste. This needs a lot of brainstorming, and yes, we could invite the raccoons to join us to tell us how we can keep them out of stuff. And I'm being a little facetious there, but that is one of the challenges of implementing some of the programs here. One thing that we did do last year is invite the water board, the local water board, to walk the campus with us. And they were good, very good at pointing about things that we could do to conserve water. One of them I'm hoping we can implement in a couple places is having rain barrels. And we certainly have had enough rain recently to be able to keep those full. That means then we're not using processed water to water our plants. Most of our plants are low water use, and we've removed some of the lawns and put in hardscaping, rocks and boulders and some plants to soften them. They look like they belong here in Pacific Grove, but they take far less water. And our deer don't eat them. We have a large deer population, so it's always a challenge in terms of landscaping. Looking at how we can do things better in each of the departments, you know, cleaning, the housekeeping. I know that they work hard at trying to do some things. What can we do as residents in requesting less and them looking to see what are the most environmentally friendly materials. I know they've done this, but have we done it in the past? And maybe update some things. So those are the kind of things that we've been working on. One thing that we're very strong on is I'll call it waste management. Waste management in how do we not have a lot of waste? And that's because we really stress reuse. Right now, our stores closed, which is a reuse store. We'll get that open again, but providing to everyone lists of where you can donate items throughout the community. And there's a huge variety. Some of them are very close. So it's possible to for us as the residents to take them there. And some are a little further away. So we need to, how do we do carpools? Somebody's going to a doctor's appointment and they can drop something off along the way. That has really reduced the amount of things that go into the waste stream and into the landfill. And so there's a very strong program here at Canterbury Woods about reuse. Well, most of us are no longer driving, so we're getting a lot of things through Amazon. And how do we coordinate things so there's less packaging? Because that's part of a whole environmental program. You don't want things traveling across country in great big boxes. Cross country means it's the transportation effect on the environment, the emissions from whatever way it's coming, and then all that stuff you get packed around that tiny little thing. How can we work on that? And then share things. So I'm ordering something, you're ordering something, can we get it packaged in one so it's far less? It's a little challenge, but I think we can work something out along those lines. And one of the things that we've been doing since I've gotten here is having an Earth Day event. And Earth Day event is really an educational event. This is what Earth Day was really started as, is educating. And this year, the theme, the international theme, is plastics versus the planet. How can we reduce the use of plastics? We use a lot of plastics. We use them in everyday things we do because they're convenient, they're lightweight. There's sometimes we must use them because of the medical things, but do we need to use them in all these cases? And if we do use them, how can we get them into the recycle stream? Because almost no waste management will take them. They then they get in the trash, and they get in the trash, they get in the landfills, and they're known to blow around. We've located a number of places where we can take those thin plastics and they will accept them, and they get used. They get used to be making new material. And it's a type of decking material is the primary one. And we put in some of that around here, not a lot, but yeah, so it's looking at all of that to say everything I do has an impact, and how can I lessen that impact?
Thank you, Nancy. You know, I love that you as a resident are so involved in that, and that you working with the staff at your community can bridge, be that bridge of education, and that you carry that mission with you. So thank you. I have a PowerPoint coming up, and I have a list of items and question marks. Your reuse sheet, the list of reuse stores and shops that you are updating, I would really love to include that for our guests, and anything else that you want to share. So as you update your materials, please feel free to email them to me. And that's an invitation to everybody on this call. I've been looking for materials. I know Carlsbad has sent me items, St. Paul's Towers as well. In the north, a lot of materials are available on your Vibrant sites. In the south, if you have a resident concierge site, you're including some of these things. But I'm pulling things together constantly. I haven't gotten very far yet. I haven't gotten it to a place where it can be useful yet. I started that last year. Still haven't gotten there, but I just know that I want that to mean something for you and for others around you. So thank you, Nancy, for sharing with us and inspiring us. Now I'm going to share my screen and jump off of what Nancy is saying. I told you that Nancy inspired our title. And if you're not familiar with um, Team Green, Front Porch is committed to environmentally healthy practices that make a difference for our residents, employees, also our cities, states, and our world. So residents identified, and these are resident-driven initiatives. They identify major areas at their community and opportunities that they see in waste management, utilities, ecosystems, and sustainable construction practices. And again, that's what Nancy has touched on. So everybody is invited to this conversation. And this year we're having two. So in this calendar year, this is the number 1 meeting. We're talking today about our Earth Day preparations and what we can do to get ready for that in some roundabout ways. And then also on August 15th, I will be sharing with our colleagues at a couple of different communities in the North, South, and Mid California some amazing just amazing projects that they have going on. And I hope you will make time. We're making sure that our directors know, that our life enrichment directors know as well, to keep this 3 o'clock hour open in their calendars so that you can attend this, because this is really going to be a great meeting and event. So in Team Green, we explore solutions and we inspire practices that increase green living in order to build resilience, enhance wellness, and create lasting impact at each Front Porch community. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to introduce Anne and Jane. They are down in Carlsbad at Carlsbad by the Sea. So on your left is Anne in the blue and Jane is in the gray. I welcome you both. And your committee at Carlsbad by the Sea began as a very small group of concerned residents. And you actually, Anne told me you've grown both in size and impact. And you're to be congratulated. So you are passionate about resident and employee education. Like I always hear from you that education is so key and you're working so hard at it. And you've realized that waste management at your community is not simple. So you've come up with a creative solution to the waste management education at Carlsbad by the Sea. In fact, I even heard it from your director, so I know that they've taken notice, which is so exciting. Can you share what you are creating and what steps that you have taken to bring your vision to life?
Oh, thank you, Mary. Yes, we'll try. This is a new thing for us. Generally, we've been doing the things that Nancy talked about, and probably Sandy will, in educating our residents, especially. It's hard, you can't make anyone do recycling exactly as it should be. And we're not even always sure how that happens, but we're trying. So this year for Earth Month, we're doing some skits. And we have 6 skits. We have grown from 6 people to 12 people on our committee. And we have 6 skits lined up. And we hope that they will be about a minute or less each. We hope to show them on our 1390, which is our local TV station, and also hope to feature them in one or both town halls during the month of April. I'm going to tell you what the skits are about. The flushable wipes, which is especially a problem with facilities that have older sewer systems, pipes. and that there is no such thing as a flushable wipe. So we're doing that one. How to dispose of plastic gloves. Also plants and flowers, especially now a lot of people had poinsettias. What do you do with those? We're really lucky here because we have a waste management a company that handles composting. So Carlsbad by the Sea is really big in promoting composting here. So that's one thing that I realized that not all places have. The third thing is what to do with their plastic lids and lids that are on bottles and pill bottles, whether some are left on, some are left off, how to handle plastic silverware, plastic straws. I'll introduce this after I finish the list. I told you about the shredded paper. Our committee has purchased paper bags so that everyone has paper bags to use for their shredded paper so that they aren't tempted to try to use the plastic bags. And then the food stained items that can go into our compost. And then also a biggie, because we use a lot of plastic bags with our carryout food, and keeping those out of the recycle or compost bins and being sure those go into the landfill. In our skits, we have a pickleball paddle with a yes and a no. So one of us will try to do the correct or incorrect way of recycling, and we'll say no, no, no. And then they'll do it correctly and we'll say yes. So that's what we're going to use. We have a professional videographer who's also, he and his wife are volunteers here at CBTS, and they're going to film us. So hopefully we will be, I'm looking around at most of my committee here in the room with us. Hopefully we will be actor ready, professionally ready by the time he comes in March to film us.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I don't know how far you're going to get because it'll be too much fun for you. So thank you for sharing that. Did you have any more? I know that Anne introduced the topic, and I know that you had told me about it. And did she do okay? Did she get everything in?
Oh, yes, yes. Actually, I want to say, I believe the idea for skits was Sharon's,
Okay.
one of our members, and we're going to put them on 1390 and what's the other thing called?
The town hall.
Yeah.
Oh, concierge.
Concierge.
Yeah.
So they'll
Sorry.
be in a rotation on your closed circuit, and then they will be on demand as people need information. And really the use would be that your staff could get a hold of them and review them. And I know that privately people may or may not watch your closed circuit very often, but if there's a movie playing on it, you could put that around it. But also I know that your closed circuit plays in the hallways. So as
Yes.
people round the hallways, they can see your skits. You'll be movie stars at Carlsbad by the Sea. That'll be fun. And I know Dan and Suzanne, they're pretty amazing, and I think that they'll make these videos really great and do a careful job on them too. So congratulations on that. And thank you for the idea. I hope that it grows and that it's well received and that you get a lot of mileage out of it. You know, I learned from Anne the other day, I'm sorry, Jane, really quickly, about the bags with the shredded paper. I want to really, I don't know if everybody knows this, but when you shred
Right.
papers, yeah.
Well, CBTS used to do shredding for people, and they stopped doing that. So we looked at, well, now what do we do? And people were putting the shredded paper into plastic bags, but plastic bags can't go into recycling. So I checked with our garbage company, and they said the best way to do it is to put it in a paper bag and close the paper bag with staples or Scotch tape and put it in the recycle bin. They don't want loose shredded paper in there because it gums up the system.
Mhm.
So we did buy bags, our committee, and then I think CBTS bought the last batch that are available for residents to put their shredded paper in.
That's really
But it
important.
is a another educational issue.
Exactly. Well, and it's an opportunity. You said it yourself though that you've talked to your your vendor, your waste management company, and they're really a great resource for finding out what you can do and how to do it, how to defeat that, how to how to achieve that. And Jane, I'm sorry, I stopped you from
Oh,
talking.
just a couple of things. Anne has been our liaison. She has a person at our waste management company. So it's good. I would recommend this for all communities to have one person as a liaison with someone at their waste management company so that you can really see how things are supposed to be done in your area. And
Excellent.
the other thing I wanted to say, since Paula is online, is that we really appreciate the support that we get from
Mhm.
management. This is our third year with our conservation committee, and the fact that we have doubled in size the people that are interested. We have a wonderful team here, so I'm looking forward to this year.
That's wonderful. And I've spoken with Joseph, your environmental services director, and I know he's expressed his appreciation for your support and input and education that he's received. So I hope that this endeavor helps out to grow throughout your community. It is continual and it is valuable. So thank you for doing that. Thank you, ladies. Well, we're going to turn our attention. We're almost at 3:30. We're going to turn our attention to Vista Del Monte and Santa Barbara. And joining us today are Bill and Sandy Boyd. You are very you are very active in conservation at Vista Del Monte and in the larger Santa Barbara community. At your community, you have created ways. This is really interesting. I love this. You've created ways for residents and employees to make a difference, not only within your community, but for other nonprofits in the area. And while making a difference in the environment. So I'm curious to have you share that. And also, you've told me that Santa Barbara hosts a very large Earth Day festival in April. So I would love to hear about you and if you would share more about yourself with our guests. And also, please share some of the unique ways that your programs benefit others, and also tell us about what you are hoping, what you think the value of going to something like an Earth Day festival is for community members in our senior retirement communities.
Let me start with a little bit about my background. I've got nearly 40 years of urban and regional planning experience in Los Angeles and initially in Chicago, working on everything from aircraft noise to roadway electrification to solid waste. So I've got a little bit of long-term background, but once I came 26 years ago, got married to Sandy and moved to Santa Barbara, I've been involved with the transportation committee here in Santa Barbara, with Rotary on a number of projects, and most recently with the League of Women Voters. And then in the past 2 years as chair of the Resident Association's Environment Committee. I wouldn't have been involved with environmental activities at Vista without the help of my wife, who's been actively involved in the environment and climate change issues for some time. I took on what she started 2 years ago when she had an accidental fall, but she's the idea person between much of what we've accomplished here. So Sandy, you want to say something about yourself?
Hi. So I'm going to try to be quick. Science has always been my passion. I have a master's degree in chemistry, and I taught biology and chemistry for 10 years. And then I moved and changed my career to become an aerospace engineer, and for the next 10 years. And after that, I changed it again and worked with the nonprofits and developed the Nonprofit Support Center, which provides workshops for other nonprofits. And this will entail a lot of changes in me and different people to work with. I also became the president of our Rotary Club and initiated clean water projects in Thailand. And among all these things, I also like to be a gardener. And I docent at Botanical Garden at Lotus Land. And through all these activities and travels throughout the world, and especially listening to Al Gore and his predictions back in the beginning of the 2000. My concern about the environment and protecting the environment against climate change has really intensified. So when young people were saying our elders should be more to protect the planet, I joined the Society for Fearless Grandmothers. I don't know if you have an event like that in your vicinity, but if you do, please seek them out because they are very active in what they're doing, as Fearless Grandmothers. And I also joined the League of Women Voters and actually planned their first forum in climate community. That's a cat. It was the first climate emergency forum, but we were stopped because of the COVID happened. And that's when we became very involved with the Community Environmental Council, which is very active community nonprofit that does a lot of work in the area of climate and resilience training. And they put on the forum for us using the first Zoom event. So that was quite a learning experience. Bill and I have been in Santa Barbara for quite a while, and we decided to sell our house in 2021, and we moved into VDM at that point. And I came in with a lot of background in climate issues. I had just finished a 10-week course in climate steward that was put on by the University of California, a program that is still ongoing and anyone can apply to go to. And it's an excellent program that really gave me a great background in how to speak about climates without getting people all upset and fearful. So I came in with that enthusiasm. And when I came in here, I noticed that we were using plastic containers and throwing them out into the garbage. And that was very upsetting to see that. And I tried to make some concerns about that and was told, you know, you're a newcomer, you need to just take it easy. So I took it easy for a little while. And I don't know if other people have experienced that, but I've noticed that people just weren't that aware of climate change and the effects it had on our lives and also on the effects it was going to have on our grandchildren. So with the idea of saving the planet for our grandchildren, I began a series of monthly discussion groups to talk about the basis of a global warming and emission, greenhouse emissions, just to get people a little educated about that. And I put out this flyer that went out every month inviting people to come. And at first we had about 14 people, and then by the time of the fourth month, we had about 15 and 20 people showing up, and it was attracting other people. Unfortunately, I bumped into a atmosphere of climate denial in our administration. I don't know if other people have had that experience. So I didn't feel very supported in this effort. And at about the same time, I fell badly and I couldn't continue the program. But I was asked to be the environmental committee chair. And again, because of my fall, I couldn't do this. So I asked Bill, my husband, would he take this on? Because even though this was not his passion as it was mine, he's always been very supportive of me and what I'd like to do. And so Bill became the environmental chair as we go along. And he started quite a few initiatives, and I some others, and we worked together to put these on. And I'm going to have him talk about the things that he's been doing.
You might mention what you're.
Oh, Bill just reminded me. Because of the program we started with the discussion group, the climate steward University of California, they gave us an award for beginning this program of a discussion group, which was really nice. This is Kathy King, who is the outreach coordinator for the Community Environmental Council, and she is awarding us this very lovely plaque, which we gave just to show you, we gave the plaque to our environmental staff person and asked him to put it up somewhere so people could be proud of the fact that 2 of their residents achieved this award. And we never saw it go up. We had to go dig it out today. Just a little indication of the sense that there isn't that total support for the climate. It's getting better. Yes, people are beginning to recognize, yes, we're having climate events. There is a climate effect. Bill and I pushed on, and we've developed a committee, and we have about 20 people who attend when we have a meeting. And Bill is very, very forward and creating these different initiatives, and I help him as I go along.
Personally, I believe that Vista Del Monte is a shining example of what a retirement committee ought to do with regard to team green practices. As Mary mentioned, we have our Earth Day Festival. It's the longest running Earth Day celebration, I think, in the country here at Santa Barbara. And it's run by the Community Environmental Council. And the reason why is that Santa Barbara really is the birthplace of Earth Day festivals as a result of the 1969 oil spill off our coast. There are a lot of other good organizations that are supporting Earth Day efforts all over the world now. Here at Vista, working through our environmental committee and other resident committees, we seek to work closely with the management team to pursue various efforts to improve our environment and the growing challenges of climate change. During the recent pandemic, we initiated a program to encourage residents to recycle their plastic, aluminum, and glass cans and bottles that have the CACRV redemption value. We have an orange bucket that is in all of our resident living units recycle closets. Residents are instructed to or encouraged to place their CACRV recyclables in these orange buckets. We have resident volunteers then who come around and empty those buckets, take them to a local one of our residents' garage, where a service picks them up on a monthly basis, takes them to a redemption center. In this past year, as a result of our efforts, over $3,000 has been donated to the Santa Barbara Food Bank. As a result of new state legislation, we intend to expand our recycling efforts to include all glass, wine and spirit bottles, all fruit and vegetable bottles, and then all those many cardboard type boxes that we get. Some people get their wine and spirits in those as well. So those are now all officially acceptable as of the first of the year for recycling for CACRV funds. 2 years ago, we initiated a pilot program to select food waste containers and settled on 2 types of environmentally friendly containers. Vista Management purchased containers and compostable bags. Residents fill out a form and maintenance staff comes and empty those into a container and takes them into this yellow bin that you can see up there, where the food scraps from our kitchen are deposited. So this has been a really encouraging program. More and more as new residents come in, we encourage them to either purchase their own containers, which some do, and others take containers which we still have available for the residents. The food waste is taken to the landfill. Actually, it's the Tiegas landfill, which is a state-of-the-art recycling facility. They have in addition to recycling all of the various things that are brought to from the recycling effort, they're sorted mechanically by a large conveyor belt. And it's quite an interesting resource center. Is quite an interesting facility. I would encourage any of you who are in the Santa Barbara area to contact the county Resource Center and come out there for a visit. It's a literally an amazing kind of thing. But most recently, what they've done is to create a composting facility where they take the food waste now that are collected all over from various and sundry groups. Many of the restaurants, large schools, and other organizations provide this in the same kinds of yellow bins that we use, and take them out. They are then put into a composting facility, and the gas that's produced from the composting facility is collected and used to operate this resource center. So it's really a good program. Also, during another new item, during the past year, we initiated a program to collect thin plastic bags, which are placed by residents in a blue recycling container in our main lounge. A resident, me usually, regularly empties the container and takes them to an organization called Planet Protectors, relatively new organization that was formed by Ablett's dry cleaners. And they now have a large number of volunteers who every two times a week, residents sign up online from a variety individually as well as organizations like Vista, bring the bags in. They're all sorted to make sure that they meet the specifications, and they're all then bundled up and shipped to a recycling facility that converts them into a variety of different materials that are used in the recycling process. The program continues to grow in popularity, and particularly now that we get so many of these Amazon containers that have bubble wrap and all kinds of things. All of that is acceptable. So we're recycling it as much as possible. Sandy will now share on 2 remaining programs that she's been involved in.
It's been a long time since we had a rummage sale here at Vista Del Monte, especially during the COVID period. People collected a lot of things, and we want to avoid having these things just go in the trash. So initiated a rummage sale. This event was asking everyone to find everything they don't want anymore, bring it over to the big salon that we have, and we sorted it all out, and we had people pay a small amount of money for something they wanted. I mean, it was really very low cost, and it was fun for people to do this. But the most important part of this whole sale was that people got a chance to get things that they always wanted from someone else, get rid of things they didn't want, but didn't have to have any trash involved, because anything that was left over, remaining from the sale, was given over to a local waste haul, a local in Santa Barbara, that actually repackaged all the clothing that was left over for delivery overseas to make rags or to make clothes from. So it wasn't thrown in the trash. Any other kind of remaining things, hard equipment and so on, we donated to a couple of local nonprofits like Catholic Charities or Alpha Thrift Store, so they could resell it within their group. And so I think we'll probably redo that in another year, 2 years. I think will be enough time to collect a lot of things. Now, the other project that I've been involved in, well, I mentioned that when I first came here, I was annoyed about the containers. Well, the containers are still coming. They're plastic containers that are thrown away by the dozen. I mean, maybe over 500 of these are thrown away every month by people who order their food from the kitchen and have it brought back to their apartment. And we went up and visited a few different front porch facilities, namely Santa Rosa up in I think it was Spring Lake it was called. We noticed that the 4 different places we visited utilize plastic, heavy duty plastic reusable containers for their food. I don't know if any of your facilities do that, but we didn't do that. I brought them back. I brought samples back. And I once again talked with our dining director and our dining committee, and we agreed that we would do a pilot project utilizing people who are really taking their food out all the time and other people who are already involved with the food waste project. It's in the process of being approved at this point, and I'm cross my fingers they will allow us to go through with this pilot project so we can eventually have reusable containers instead of throwing the hundreds and hundreds of these white little containers out in the grass. So those were the two. I want to say one thing about Earth Day here in Santa Barbara is a wonderful 3-day event. And it has so many aspects of it that would be a valuable information for people. And Bill and I talked about it, and we thought maybe we could convince that to have a busload of people from Santa Barbara, from Vista Del Monte, go to Earth Day.
Bill, let me ask you, what I know that you told me a few things about it, but as for like from the perspective of a senior, I know that they're not going to go get like hemp dresses or hats or wild things or do anything crazy at the. I know I envision a lot of wildness and incense at the Earth Day festival, but what would seniors gain from going to that Earth Day
They have
festival?
just, oh gosh, 50 to at least 50 various and sundry organizations that are involved in the environmental movement. All have booths. We helped the League of Women Voters booth a year or so ago, and people came and asked for information about what the league was doing and in environmentally. And you get the opportunity to visit all of these other organizations, and they have a tremendous electric vehicle
Display.
operation where you can go in and try a variety of different kinds of electric vehicles or electric bicycles now. And it's just a tremendous, as well as a lot of good food to eat and get to know people. And it's a great way to share what's going on in the environment. Also, if we were able to do something as Vista, I think if we had a booth, it would also help to bring people to Vista too, and to our communities by getting our communities involved.
Right. I think that, well, and what you said, Bill, I think all differences aside, your community's leadership has an amazing project. I know I told you all about it, that we're going to hopefully discuss it in August and share
Right.
that with you. It is something to be commended and to be very proud of. And so just to be able to share that with the folks at Earth Day, things like that are widespread at your community would be very exciting. I agree. So, well, thank you for sharing with us. I want to, we're running out of time and I really want to share something. Thank you, Bill and Sandy. Let's remove your pin and you can change your view so that you can see everybody.
Change.
So I'm going to show you a couple of last slides that I really want you to know about. And that is, well, those are, I need to thank Jeff Cianco and our divisional, he's our chief operating officer, and also our divisional vice presidents, and also our executive directors, because they made quick work of a project that I am pulling together that I was actually inspired by our residents to really, we've been talking about the fact that we do have green practices at our communities, and yet nobody seems to have a list. And so I have not finished yet. It's not official yet. It's not for public consumption yet. Our leaders have yet to see the finished product, but I have a goal of 100 ways Front Porch Lives Green. And so far we have listed by your communities 87 of those. And they're in the following categories: your community collaborations, like your educational opportunities by staff, and of course I've listed by staff, by residents, your committees and environmental committees, your composting projects, your construction efforts, your electric vehicles, your electrical conservation, your low carbon initiatives, your natural gas planning, and that's planning for your entire community, your reuse, your solar waste management and water conservation. We have a lot of different efforts going on throughout Front Porch that hopefully we will be able to talk about and share and really set a course together and understand so that we don't forget. We'll have something that we can kind of grab onto and you know, Sandy brought up a point about the green containers. Well, in my travels through Front Porch, I know that there are a lot of communities who have had varying degrees of success with the green containers, and perhaps at some point, all those groups who use green containers can share best practices so that when somebody wants to take on green containers out of their dining room, that they would be able to have the best information. That's just one example of the strength in numbers that we do have as Front Porch. So I just wanted to share that with you. We're at 87 green practices that are only really the tip of the iceberg. And then also, now St. Paul's Towers in Oakland could not be with us today. I mentioned that to you. And they have developed an Earth Day pledge. And I'm going to be sharing that with all of your directors. I'm going to, it's just a simple form. It's a template, and I would like you to take a look at that with your environmental groups and your administration to see what areas you can adjust. It's just a simple Excel sheet form that you can change out some different verbiage, or, you know, everybody's community is similar but different, but it's in the area of waste and energy reduction, culture and community, how we support each other in community, water and food in the dining room, and materials and products. So be looking for that in your email boxes from me. And if you have anything like that, if you have an Earth Day pledge that's active at your community, I would love to see that. This Oakland, St. Paul's Towers has had a very active Green Action Committee is what they're called for many, many years. So it comes from them, and they're a trusted partner in that. And then also I'm giving you that. And I also have started a list of Earth Day activities near each of our communities that I'd love to share with your life enrichment directors. We will share Nancy Frost's and Canterbury Woods reuse store list. And if you have any great ideas, and in fact, you know, Sandy, you talked about your run bench sale, and I can tell you that a few of our communities have thriving reuse sales that really make a difference for folks, and they build partnerships in their communities. And it's a lot of hard work, definitely is. And I also want to let you know about our next opportunity. I've said it now the third time. We're not only hoping to talk about Vista Del Monte's project, exterior project, that actually is a major watershed project. This is just the most amazing thing to me. It really, really is. But we'll learn about community to table opportunities that are popping up at Front Porch that are in place in our northern communities. It's not farm to table, it is community to table. So, and it's so much more than food. It's about resident and community engagement, and just building community around food. Are there any lingering questions? Because really, Nancy and Anne and Jane, we really didn't get your credentials and who you are. I don't know if you want to share a little bit with us.
Well, my involvement with the environment has basically been always a family that loved outdoors. We camped. Old-fashioned camping means you sleep on the ground. And so it's been very important to me. And it is really kind of a daily decision of what you do with things. I want to say to the community that's going to have an interactive event on Earth Day, I have found that doing games with the rest of the residents where they're making decisions and we reward them when they get the right answer works much better than any written material. There's a couple movies out there that, and I'm trying to figure out which one I want to show this year, that really stress why we are in the environmental business and considering every decision we make, is it the right thing to do? Those kind of things, and tours of the waste management facility really brought home to a lot of folks why you don't do some things Don't put little tiny stuff in with the big stuff because it jams the equipment. Little tiny things that make a big difference on how your community is doing the right thing to kind of protect our environment as much as we can.
Thank you. And you personally, though, in your professional career, were in the environmental services, weren't you?
Yeah, I
that
was
true?
one of the first 900 employees of the Environmental Protection Agency.
Oh,
And I was with them from the very beginning. And it was, it was because of the Santa Barbara oil spill that EPA was created. And it really, the change in what the laws were was amazing over the years. And I particularly worked in the pesticide field, and where pesticides were they good for killing what it was? And you didn't have to say whether it was safe for somebody to use it or was it safe for the environment. And when the laws changed to make it, is this not just going to be effective, but is it safe for the environment? And is it safe for the users? Didn't make a lot of farmers very happy, but it really, I mean, we have a lot of folks living here at Canterbury Woods that their families grew up farming in the Salinas Valley. And last year I showed one of the movies that showed the changes and a lot of tears. They did not realize what the effects were and what the effects are on them now. It just really brought home to them how important it is that decisions made by the government really affect our daily lives. And waste management, how do they really dispose of things? So that's a little bit of my soap opera. You don't want me to get on my soap opera.
You don't want
because
to get you
I
off
could
your
be on that
soapbox.
for a long time.
Well, at least it's locally sourced, Nancy. So thank you.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Anne and Jane.
Well, I'll go first. I don't have anything like Nancy's credentials for sure. I started the Conservation Committee 3 years ago because I was hoping that maybe we would get solar because I saw an aerial view of the top of our building and how much empty space there was and how much sun we have here. And someday, God willing, that will happen. But that was kind of the motivation. But I think that everybody, I'm sitting here with eight of us here that are on our committee, that we all have some interest, in whatever we can do to help improve our environment here. I mean, a lot of things that were mentioned, like our reuse, we have a monthly lacage that's amazing.
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 My house is furnished in lacage. Like my favorite things that I've ever, if you go to Carlsbad by the Sea, drive. I'm sorry, Nancy, drive and take a van. You need whatever they're selling at lacage.
Yeah, that's our garage sale that's monthly, and just there's a lot that we do here. The reusable containers, yeah, and got some good ideas today too. So thank you, all of you.
That's really why we're here. I'm so glad. So raise your hand if you got a couple good ideas. And raise your hand if you learned a little stuff. Good. And raise your hand if you're really happy to meet all these fine folks. I really enjoyed introducing them to you. Before we leave, is there anything urgent that anybody needs to say or ask? Okay. Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for being with us today. I really want to, and I know I thanked Jeff and I know I thanked our DVPs, and I can't remember if I thanked our executive directors who got back to me. Oh, Susan Horn asks, what's lacage? For the 25 plus years that Carlsbad by the Sea has been built, they designated, it probably spans 6 to 8 parking spaces and it's grown, but it's used goods. So the community brings, like residents bring their used goods. It's their thrift shop operation, but they also have the Haute collectibles where they take and merchandise into a really nice case, really nice smaller items that are really precious. Um, I bought a bunch of stuff there too, and it supports the resident association and their programs. But the men and women who work in that area really do a great job, and the community is very gracious with them. And every community has had or could use um, a used goods operation, and they have really made that a priority. Wesley Palms also has the Whatnot shop, and that's always been pretty fun. And a couple of our communities elsewhere. It's a lot of hard work working in volunteer engagement all these years. I know it's just a really, really hard, um, tenacious set of folks that work in those operations. But Lacage, they've even painted it on the wall, and that's been there for 25 years. But yes. And anyway, I thank the executive directors who have participated today, but also each one of you has been so responsive to my request for information about your green practices. And I hope that this time has inspired you and your staff to dig deeper, to ask more questions, to connect with information, to connect with each other, because really that's what it's all about. And to look at all the great ideas that your colleagues are that are bubbling up at different communities. And believe me, I am dedicated to your success. So I just hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for joining us, and I'll see you in August.